The Nike boardroom fell silent when the call came in. Not from Caitlin Clark, not from her agents, but from Aja Wilson's camp, with one simple demand that would reshape the entire WNBA endorsement landscape forever. What you're about to discover isn't just another corporate strategy story. This is about how Nike's attempt to manage their WNBA investments accidentally exposed the hidden racial dynamics driving endorsement decisions in women's basketball. And the digital breadcrumbs I've been following for months finally reveal why Caitlin Clark's signature shoe launch got pushed back in ways that have industry insiders questioning everything. If you're here for the real story behind Nike's WNBA strategy, hit that subscribe button right now, because what the other channels won't tell you is about to get very uncomfortable for some very powerful people. Here's what we're uncovering today. First, the documented evidence of Nike's signature shoe timeline. Manipulation that puts Aja Wilson's A1 launch directly ahead of Clark's expected release. Second, the industry insider speculation that's been filtering through sports marketing circles about why this timing isn't coincidental. Third, how Sophie Cunningham's viral success exposes the authenticity gap in Nike's WNBA athlete management strategy. And finally, the competitive intelligence that reveals what this really means for the future of women's sports endorsements. Let's start with what we know for certain.
Now, we know Caitlin Clark got some shoes that is set to be released tomorrow. That is a PE Kobe Bryant shoe, bruh. Yes, Caitlin Clark got her own signature PEs with Kobe Bryant and Nike. Now, one thing about it is there's another shoe that is set to be released.
That confirmation you just heard? That's the foundation of everything that's about to unravel. Because while content creators were focused on Caitlin Clark's Kobe Bryant connection, they completely missed the strategic maneuvering happening behind the scenes with Aja Wilson's signature shoe launch. Okay, now let's get into rumor territory. Nothing is officially confirmed, but the online chatter is too loud to ignore. The timeline tells the real story. Caitlin Clark signed her 8-year, $28 million Nike deal in April 2024. The largest endorsement deal for a WNBA player in history. Her signature shoe was initially expected to drop in late 2024 or early 2025. But then something changed. Aja Wilson's A1 signature shoe line suddenly got moved up to a May 2025 launch date, and Clark's shoe pushed back to spring 2026, almost 2 full years after signing the biggest deal in women's basketball. Here's what they missed while creating fictional golden box narratives. The real controversy isn't about sharing deals, it's about Nike's calculated decision to prioritize Aja Wilson's launch over their biggest WNBA investment. Official sources won't tell you this, but if you follow the digital breadcrumbs, a different picture emerges. Industry insiders are whispering about a conversation that happened in Nike's Beaverton headquarters. A conversation about optics, about racial dynamics, about the delicate balance of promoting a white rookie over an established black superstar who's already won championships and MVP awards.
Doesn't include 10 other people. All right, now let's go show you something else. So the shoe goes on sale today, or was it today? It's sold out in minutes. And I want to show you something right here. Just so you can, just a reminder, so you remember who the cash cow is, who the box office attraction is. You gotta remember this. So remember, if you're not familiar, they have something called GOAT. GOAT is a secondhand market for sneakers. And this is their website. And if you see the shoes on here, it's right here, the Caitlin Clark.
You hear that cash cow language? You hear how they're tracking secondary market performance? Nike absolutely understands Caitlin Clark's commercial dominance. So why would they delay capitalizing on it? The temperature of the online conversation suggests something deeper is happening here. Reddit WNBA communities have been dissecting this timeline for months. The recurring themes: racial dynamics in endorsement priorities, media bias toward Clark, and growing tension about whether Nike is managing their WNBA portfolio to avoid accusations of favoritism toward their white superstar. But here's what the other channels won't tell you. This isn't just about two signature shoes. This is about Nike trying to navigate the most explosive racial dynamics in women's sports while protecting their $28 million investment. I've been filtering through the noise, and the signals point to a deliberate strategy. Launch A'ja Wilson's A1 first. Let her have the spotlight. Let her establish her signature shoe legacy without the shadow of Caitlin Clark's unprecedented commercial power. Then, when the racial optics have been managed, unleash Clark's signature shoe with full marketing force.
Resources Nike puts behind Caitlin Clark now that we're going to start getting some of her merchandise coming out, and fans are indeed excited. I miss my GOAT playing. Gonna go ham on this commercial. I thought it was a nice commercial myself. Where is her own shoe? We're waiting on that. We are waiting on that. Wow, y'all must have a fever or something. Oh, what a great double play on words. What a great double entendre.
That excitement you're hearing? That anticipation for Clark's signature shoe? Nike knows it's there. They've always known it's there. The question is whether they're managing that excitement to protect other investments, or whether they're genuinely trying to do right by their entire WNBA roster. But the story doesn't end there, because while Nike was playing chess with their signature shoe timeline, something unexpected happened. Sophie Cunningham went viral, and her authentic rise exposes everything that's wrong with Nike's calculated approach. Here's what nobody's connecting. Sophie Cunningham transformed a $500 WNBA fine into over $1 million in brand value through authentic viral content. She didn't need Nike's approval. She didn't need corporate strategy sessions. She just defended Caitlin Clark, called out bad officiating, and built direct relationships with fans. The result? Partnerships with Ring, Arby's, Adidas, Quest Nutrition, and Mad Hippie. Real money, real influence, real success. You hear that team chemistry? That authentic adjustment discussion?
And our offense was clicking, but now we have to have a new offense when she's in there because she just brings that much to the game. And so we have to adjust. And I think all of us just want it now. We know what the potential of this team can be, but we can't think about that. You really have to take day to day, and stuff that worked here, we need to carry it over to tomorrow's game. We have a lot of games coming up, and I think like 7 days or whatnot. And so
That's what Nike is missing with their calculated timeline management. The authentic relationships and organic success stories happening right under their noses. Cunningham's success isn't managed by corporate committees worried about racial optics. It's driven by genuine fan connection and unfiltered personality. And it's generating millions in value while Nike delays their biggest signature shoe investment. So, what's fact and what's speculation? Let's break it down. Fact: Caitlin Clark's signature shoe has been delayed from its expected timeline to spring 2026. Fact: A'ja Wilson's A1 launches in May 2025, getting priority in Nike's WNBA signature shoe strategy. Fact: Industry insiders are questioning Nike's timeline decisions. The speculation? That this timing is deliberately managed to address racial dynamics and avoid the appearance of favoritism toward Nike's white superstar investment. The consequences are already playing out. Clark's fans feel betrayed. Wilson's supporters see validation. And Sophie Cunningham's authentic success is making everyone else's managed approach look calculated and hollow.
really is, you know what I mean? And like, I get it to a certain extent, and like every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're going to treat them. But there's just more for her.
You got to match up against other Nike hoopers. Do you have a favorite matchup?
You're gonna get me in trouble. Honestly, like, I'll just say.
That treatment disparity you're hearing documented? That's not just about on-court preferential treatment. That extends to endorsement strategies, marketing timelines, and corporate decision-making that puts racial optics ahead of commercial logic. That brings us to the inevitable question. What does this mean for the future of WNBA endorsements? Nike's signature shoe strategy reveals a fundamental tension in women's sports marketing. Do you prioritize your biggest commercial investment? Do you manage racial optics? Do you try to balance both and risk satisfying neither? The signals suggest Nike chose balance over boldness, and that decision is creating the exact controversies they were trying to avoid. Meanwhile, players like Sophie Cunningham are proving that authentic viral marketing beats corporate strategy every time. Her TikTok-first approach bypasses traditional sports media entirely. Her brand partnerships are based on genuine fan connection, not committee-approved timing strategies. The digital insider perspective? Nike's signature shoe delay for Caitlin Clark isn't protecting anyone. It's highlighting the racial calculations that drive corporate decisions in women's sports. And it's showing how tone-deaf managed approaches can be compared to authentic athlete branding.
Because she's such an icon in our sport and has been in the game for so long. You know, getting to share the court with her was pretty fun, and you just see her competitive spirit. Even
that respect you hear from Clark, that appreciation for veteran players, Nike could have leveraged that authenticity instead of making calculated timing decisions that create more controversy than they prevent. Official sources won't tell you this, but if you follow the digital breadcrumbs, Nike's strategy is backfiring. Clark's fans are frustrated. Wilson's supporters see corporate manipulation. And authentic success stories like Cunningham's are making everyone else's approach look artificial. The competitive intelligence reveals what's really happening. Nike underestimated the racial sensitivity of their timing decisions. They overestimated their ability to manage optics through signature shoe sequencing. And they completely missed the authentic success stories happening organically within their own WNBA ecosystem.
Since she's entered the WNBA, I know she's made a cameo here, she's made a cameo there, she was featured as part of this rollout here, featured as part of this rollout there, but is this our first official Caitlin Clark solo commercial since she has joined the WNBA? And as well, WNBA ratings from this past week in non-Caitlin Clark games on NBA TV.
That commercial gap analysis? That question about Clark's solo marketing opportunities? It connects directly to Nike's calculated approach. They're managing her visibility to avoid racial controversy while missing the commercial opportunities that authentic promotion could generate. Here's what the other channels won't tell you. This signature shoe timeline controversy is bigger than Nike or Caitlin Clark or Aja Wilson. It's about how corporate America handles racial dynamics in women's sports, and the early evidence suggests they're handling it badly. The authentic success stories, like Sophie Cunningham's viral-to-brand deal transformation, show what's possible when marketing follows genuine fan connection instead of corporate committee decisions. The calculated approaches, like Nike's signature shoe sequencing, show how racial overcorrection can create the exact problems it's trying to solve. The temperature of the online conversation suggests this story isn't going away. Reddit communities are tracking every Nike decision. TikTok creators are documenting every timeline inconsistency. And industry insiders are starting to speak more openly about racial calculations in women's sports endorsements. That defensive play analysis might seem random, but it represents the baseline coverage that most WNBA content gets. Standard, routine, uncontroversial. Compare that to the calculated management and racial sensitivity around Clark's signature shoe timeline. The contrast reveals how much energy Nike is spending on optics management instead of authentic marketing that could benefit everyone in their WNBA portfolio. Looking ahead, the prediction models suggest this controversy will influence how other brands approach WNBA endorsements. Do you follow Nike's calculated timeline management? Do you embrace Sophie Cunningham's authentic viral approach? Do you find some middle ground that satisfies commercial logic and social sensitivity? The early indicators suggest authentic approaches. Win. Cunningham's success proves direct fan engagement generates sustainable value. Nike's timeline calculations prove corporate committee decisions create sustainable controversy. So connecting the dots, what's the real story behind A'ja Wilson's Nike launch, blocking Caitlin Clark's $28 million deal timeline? It's about a corporation trying to manage racial optics in women's sports and accidentally creating the exact racial controversies they were trying to avoid. It's about calculated timeline decisions that satisfy no one and frustrate everyone. And it's about authentic success stories that show what's possible when marketing follows genuine connection instead of committee-approved strategies. The digital breadcrumbs reveal Nike's signature shoe strategy as a case study in how not to handle racial dynamics in women's sports endorsements. The authentic alternatives, like Cunningham's viral marketing success, show what's possible when brands embrace genuine athlete personalities instead of managing them. But here's what nobody's covering. This controversy is creating the blueprint for how other brands should approach WNBA endorsements. Nike's missteps become everyone else's competitive advantage. Authenticity beats calculation. Direct fan engagement beats corporate committee decisions. The influence nodes suggest this story will reshape women's sports marketing for years, not because Nike's strategy worked, but because their mistakes show exactly what doesn't work in managing racial dynamics and commercial investments simultaneously. If you're watching this because you want to understand how racial dynamics drive corporate decisions in women's sports, you've found the right analysis. If you want to see how authentic athlete branding beats calculated timeline management, you've seen the evidence. The question now isn't whether Nike's signature shoe strategy will succeed. The question is whether other brands learn from Nike's mistakes or repeat them with their own WNBA investments. Drop a like if this investigation revealed something about women's sports marketing that you hadn't considered before. Hit subscribe because I'll be tracking how this controversy influences other brand decisions in the WNBA ecosystem. And tell us in the comments, do you think Nike's calculated approach protects racial sensitivity or creates more problems than it solves? Share this analysis with anyone who thinks corporate timeline decisions in women's sports are just business decisions. They're not. They're racial calculations with commercial consequences. And the Caitlin Clark signature shoe delay proves how those calculations can backfire for everyone involved. The digital insider community is watching how this plays out. Because Nike's WNBA signature shoe strategy isn't just about basketball, shoes. It's about how corporate America navigates racial sensitivity in women's sports. And the early evidence suggests they're still figuring it out through expensive mistakes and calculated controversies. Stay tuned to this channel for continued analysis of how authentic athlete branding beats corporate committee decisions in women's sports marketing. Because the Sophie Cunningham viral success story is just the beginning of what's possible when authenticity drives endorsement strategy instead of racial optics management.